So I wanted to ask you specifically about meetings because that's one of the things you do and team connecting and building. So for leadership, what would you recommend is the power of play here and how maybe bringing in some things that seem frivolous actually are the most important things to do?
Yeah. Um, so I like to start with my clients with quite a bit of education. It's always playful education. Everything's interactive, but um, helping people understand what play can do for the mind. Um, I think is really transformational in them understanding it. So rather than just saying, "Hey, get somebody to do improv before your next strategy session," or um, I don't know, play a game, start with ping pong. Who knows? All these things that are being done a lot around. So I like to start with more of that educational standpoint and helping them understand that what play is, because I think that's really confusing. You've talked about that before, and I also know Lisa Forbes and David Thomas, who, if you asked all of us what is play, we'd all say something different. So
Yeah.
helping the corporate world understand that play is personal, play is, it can be different, it's iterative, and it can be almost anything you want it to be if your purpose is the right purpose. So always starting with that, and then bringing to less so of like a meeting activity necessarily. Like there can be activities, sure, but bringing teams together and showing them what it means to live a playful life as an adult, and bringing in. I've been studying recently Renee Proyer's work. He's
I
somewhere
haven't heard.
overseas, and I cannot remember the country right now, but he has whittled down a ton of research on personal play identity, and looking at there's validation work within it and questionnaires, and it's showing up that what people are saying about their uh, personal play identity is really showing in their behavior and that kind of thing. So grasping that concept and helping people understand that, again, play is different for everyone, but if you can just embrace that playfulness in the way you talk to someone, or the way you write an email, or the way you carry out a meeting, it doesn't have to be an activity within itself, but just thinking playfully on a bigger picture. So then if we have teams who are all comfortable in their own personal play identity, and then potentially a team identity, which is kind of where I'm hoping Renee Proyer goes with his work, because I would like to see that too. I think it would be interesting. Um, then we have just completely different corporate worlds, right? So we've got integrity being shown in behavior, in the way we're talking to each other, in our language, from the top down. And then managers see that from above them, and they're going to translate that in, and then employees feel instantly valued because everybody's on an equal playing field.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something there for me, and I would love to hear what other people think in the comments and stuff too. But for me, what I heard there is creating a safe space for your people to do their best work. And it's with a playful mindset that if you're stressing everybody out and you have to have an answer
Yeah.
and everything is life and death and everything is an emergency and last minute, your brain locks down these stress hormones like cortisol, shut everything down, and it narrows your focus, and you're just looking for that one right answer to survive, and you can't get into that playful state. It
Yeah.
locks out all of those other options for you. And if you can create this safe space with your team and with individual personalities, and giving them a chance to fail and learn and grow, or throw out bad ideas, then you start to open up that mind and you get good endorphins and good stress going, where you're like, oh, let's throw some things out that might not work, and let's learn more about that. And I think it's really interesting that way, just that you would think, like, if you really need an answer, it's like one of those backwards laws. The first thing you have to do is let go of all of that pressure. You have to say, all right, we're not going to find one. Let's find a plan B. Let's walk away from this, go for a walk, jump in the shower, put on some tunes and take a dance break or something. And you're more likely to come up with an answer if you do that than if you're like, let's lock everybody in a room. Nobody's leaving.
Right.
Coffee's for closers. Nobody gets
Yeah.
anything until we have an answer, you're really, really less likely to get
Yeah.
a result.
It's so limiting. It's so limiting. That's it. You know, the whole concept of, and this has been done for decades, right? Like the brainstorming session, there's no bad ideas. Okay, but you're also the rest of the work day, you're telling your employees constantly, yes, those are all bad ideas. Don't come to me with that. So you have to change it really from the cultural standpoint within the organization.
Don't wait for tomorrow.